Google. Let's go get him again.
Welcome back to the Robe Zoe channel. I'm your host Mark, and welcome to your Sampling Samples Sunday. On the weekends we sample, I discover, and today's sample is on the brand of Amouage. Absolutely love these. This will definitely go over 10 to 15 minutes as a Sampling Samples video because it is an Amouage. There is some complexity to it, but it is a Lucky Scent sample, so I am limited to my sampling. This one called Meander, which is part of the Renaissance collection. I spoke about Enclave from the same line earlier this year, and now it's this one's turn. I'm expecting a lighter Amouage here, nothing too daring, dark from what Amouage has pushed from what I see from the Renaissance line. So let's go under the hood, let's take a look at some stats on this one. Release date was back in 2020, Concentrations Eau de Parfum. The nose behind this, Mackenzie Riley, fairly new to the perfumery game, at least in being out there with big names. She started out with a Lab on Fire with her release in 2017 called California Snow. Most notably also known for Lost Alice by Mask Milano. So love up and coming noses. Can't wait to see more. You know, if Amouage is plucking her to do some fragrances, there's some talent there, especially with the Lost Alice. I hear is a really good release. So you may see a little bit of Lost Alice in this release too. I haven't smelt that release, but I'm interested after smelling this particular fragrance. Now the big notes in this release, and I'm going to talk about, there's a lot of moving parts, just like Amouage is known for. The talent is there for this nose, I'll tell you that right now. That complexity is there, but really you're looking at the skeleton of this release. Iris, so orris root, olibanum, so frankincense, and sandalwood is basically your base in this release. Very smooth release, I gotta say that. So right off the bat, let's start sniffing. I have my little Lucky Scent sample that, you know, restricts me to 2 wearings, give or take. I'm just reminding myself, and launch, and remind myself of this introduction. And what an introduction. It's light, it's airy, it's smooth though. So right off the bat, Meander brings in almost a calming type of feel to me. It really, there's not too many fragrances, mostly tea-based fragrances, lighter fragrances, watery fragrances do this to me and kind of calm me down. Tea-based a lot, mostly, make you want to focus, and this is right in that focus area. There's notes of a buttery yet sawdusty, almost cedar-like sandalwood, which at times shows its coconutty side. If you really delve into it, you can smell that a little bit. It kind of reminds me of the DS and Durga that utilized sandalwood. Very, very nicely done. 3-dimensional sandalwood, really done well. And that's backed with a note that kind of does the same thing, except as a floral, and doesn't give you a woody aspect, which is more, again, creamy orris root. And then there's this carrot seed in here too at the same time that can be utilized to replace iris in a release. So it really is a lot of, those 3 notes really interchange, and really give you that same idea. But here you really see the small nuances from each one. It's calm. The collected pieces in here will put you into this almost Zen mode. And when I think about colors, and I do this sometimes, mostly with niche fragrances, colors right now, I'm looking at light brown, gray, and white here. Those are the colors I'm getting. Very Zen-like, very just almost like my wall back here, very gray. And these pieces are what Meander is built upon. Rest of the notes are complement factors. Olibanum does run through this whole fragrance too, and I'm going to get to that, but that might be the one piece that is also running through this release as well. Now there is a 1-2 punch of pepper in this opening. I get a little bit of that pink pepper and black pepper. The pink pepper gives the scent a little fruity touch, a little fruity color, and the black pepper gives it some punch that really kind of make the woods make me think of cedar, because cedar does give out, of course, a black peppery accord sometimes, and it's never too woody. And I want to say that, I want to emphasize that, because when people think about cedar, they're thinking about Home Depot. in here, the sandalwood, very, of course, very light, but it does have that rough edge that cedar wood does have, and that black pepper kind of makes you think of that sawdust almost. Now in the opening of this release, there's no citruses listed in here, and if you blink you miss it, but there is a lemon appeal, and I almost get like an unripe apple note here as well. And you know where that's from? That's from the olibanum, the frankincense note, which is rare to see that portion of it in perfumery. So it's a nod to the nose, the quality of the notes that we're getting here, to really get that portion out of the olibanum up front in this. It's very minor off the bat, but it's definitely beautiful. Like when I smelled that, I'm like, citrus. Yeah, it's from that. Beautifully blended in the release, but very minor in the opening, and definitely a lot of the other notes, the carrot seed, the orris root, and the sandalwood really are the major players in this opening. Now the scent is in this waxy, buttery, creamy stage in here, which is absolutely gorgeous. Then all of a sudden there's this beautiful greenery that shows up. It's a little grassy, it's mossy, it gives off a watery aspect as well. It almost feels like I'm near a stream in the forest. That's where this is taking me, but very watercolor-esque. It's not super vivid. The bottle color depicts this stage like perfectly. You see that light green hue? That's exactly what I get out of this greenness. It's not very big, bold, and vivid, but it's there, and it helps this whole zen-like quality that I'm getting out of this. Now the colors are now gray, white, light green with some pale browns here. The greens can be vegetal, and even there's a mineral earthy quality here as well. A lot of moving parts in this introduction. This set is actually quite airy, light for what is depicted in the note breakdown, and the biggest surprise is the olibanum, which isn't a big smoky frankincense, but an airy, light, shielded resin, showing mostly its lemony quality. Then it goes into its piney, woody aspect of the note, and then finally giving out a little bit of light, and I mean very light, smoky touches in the back end of this release. The magic of the olibanum here, which is almost transparent, is absolutely outstanding in this release. Now the vegetal green earthy quality comes through here. It won't leave for a good portion, and this thing lasts and lasts. So you're going to get a good portion of the scent that is going to be vegetal and green, and it is welcome. But the iris, the carrot seed, the sandalwood combo keeps pushing here. That carrot seed is absolutely gorgeous, by the way. That and the iris work so well together with the sandalwood. Did I say that? Yes, I think I've said that already before, but absolutely gorgeous. Vetiver plays a little portion here in this mid, giving this earthy quality as well, but I don't think this is a major player in this particular release, but it does help the whole imagery of that greenness, but not very rooty for a vetiver based note in this release. Very minor. Now once you get into the mid of this release, now you're going to get a lot more of the floral aspects. The main players come into play for the florals. The iris is already here, of course, sometimes chalky, gives its chalkiness, sometimes powdery. The rose here also giving out some green aspects as well, and then there's this pale yellow jonquil note, gave off its floral quality, but also hay-like and blonde woods here, really working well with the whole imagery, and again still going zen like. These florals are absolutely gorgeous. Now for all the men out there, not a big deal breaker. If you have to like orris root, you do have to like the iris, but other than that, these florals are a small player to a whole idea. So don't be scared. Oh, there's a bunch of florals in here. Don't be scared. Try it out. Really, I think you're going to be missing out a lot if you think of this as a floral fragrance. Now there's also, talking about florals, there's also a touch of jasmine in this mid, not listed as a official note, but it does help this green touch. I almost felt like at this point there's some wet soil, there's some crushed leaves here, and you tend to appreciate the amouage quality in this. Like the introduction you appreciate it, but in the mid I feel like the floral aspects here bring it up a big notch. The floral notes are very 3D to my nose, and they can really take you places. And there's complexity here. Then there's obviously, you know, there's real, like, there's certain points in this that this is where this is going, this is where this is going to go. So really interesting building blocks in this release as well. So this nose has shown a lot of talent in regards to me. Like, this is my first sniff, at least from what through my years. I don't think I've smelt one of her releases, so this is my first real smell of her releases, and this is an excellent release. Now, going back to the fragrance and more into the back end of this, it doesn't change much once you start getting into this mid. The main players do stay main: sandalwood, orris root, excellent sandalwood throughout. The iris is also top notch. The cypriol here is a great bridge from florals to wood, so there is some cypriol in the back end. It gives a supporting green nuance like oak moss, and that's where you're getting that kind of like oak mossy kind of smell here. It's quite dry, and it does really well in this scent as well. So overall, Meander is a green, earthy, sandalwood orris scent that goes gray like my sweater at times, and it's just, you know, the one thing I take out of this fragrance review, it has a calming effect on me when wearing it, and not many scents do that. Mostly tea-based, like I said earlier, do that, but this one does it. Calm, peace, you know, one with the earth. This is the idea, the imagery that I'm getting out of this release, and it's very rare to have fragrances that do that. And yeah, Amouage did very well. Now, as a selling point, those kind of ideas may not wow some people. You know, these are some people want, you know, big obnoxious fragrances. This is more of a one with earth, kind of calming, tranquility, zen-like fragrance. Like, the whole time I was smelling this fragrance, I was ready to go to bed. It was very calming. So let's get into seasons, day, night, versatility, and performance. Seasons, I feel like fall and spring, the tweener seasons, are great for this type of release. There's some green nuances, there's some woody aspects, there's of course some florals in here. So fall and spring just play really well because of the fluctuation of the weather. It works really well in cooler weather to warmer weather, but not too warm that the, you know, the powdery aspects, things like that, start getting to you. I feel like spring is huge, I think, for this one. Summer nights could work well, and in the winter you can wear it, but I feel like the magic would happen more into those tweener seasons. Day or night, I feel like both. I feel more of a daytime scent, but like, wearing this at night, like, I know you're wasting your money, spending a whole bunch of money and putting this at night for, you know, just to calm yourself down, reading a book. This would ultra focus me on that book. That kind of scent really just zens me out. So I absolutely love that. So both day or night. Versatility, highly versatile. There's nothing here that screams, oh, you know, don't wear this at this occasion. You can dress this up, dress this down, casual. Indoors, outdoors, cold weather, warm weather. The only thing I could probably see that is going to be a restriction for it is the high heat. I think some of this, a portion of this, depending on your nose, especially the florals, the powderiness may get to you a little bit, but a lot of greens here, and no, excellent versatility and performance. The performance was good, and I know, you know, with these lighter Amouages, you're going to get people that are going to say this doesn't last on my skin. For me, longevity was 9 to 12 plus hours. And again, all I got was a little Lucky Scent sample. I can't even douse myself in this release. Projection was average though. So this is not a huge beast mode release, at least from my wearing. I feel like the performance is better than the actual projection of it. So very good lasting power, but as far as, you know, being a beast in the room, this is not that Amouage. Just not. So my final thoughts are this: we need to first and foremost give props where props are due to the nose. The blend's outstanding. I absolutely love, of course, the creative direction of this fragrance. I feel like this is rather unique as a creative release. From what I expect from Amouage, I do expect some of the best creative direction out there. It really was an outstanding creative idea. I really like this. I can think of bits and pieces of this release that I've smelt before in other fragrances, but there is some things out of here. The sandalwood, the carrot seed in the opening was fantastic. The blend of the sandalwood, the iris, and the carrot seed, which all three of them really have a lot of properties that are almost identical, was well blended, that I could tell that, oh, this thing does this and that, but just minor, with a skeleton of all three blended together. The floral aspects, the jonquille was absolutely gorgeous. I think they probably used some of the best in the game as far as Narcissus goes, because it was absolutely gorgeous itself. And the olibanum by itself, like, holy crap, you know, gave me a lemony opening. Not too many of those do that. So, you know, at the end of the day, you know, the scent itself is quite unique, and you can tell some, if not all of the notes are of high quality, and that's what Amouage is known for. This is one of those Amouages that the Lucky Scent sample didn't do it justice, personally. I think there's much more to discover here. My fragrance review, not that it feels incomplete, but it feels like there's probably more if I had a 7-day window, a 10-day window with this release with a bottle. I feel like you would get a much better product from me personally. I think there's much more to discover here. So I kind of ran out of time, ran out of juice, kind of just went, okay, this is what I compile. This happens on Sampling Samples sometimes, not often. I'm pretty good with that little amount of juice, but here I feel like I did justice of the fragrance, saying, you know, how good it is, but at the same time I feel like I could have done more. This isn't a hit you over the head Amouage like Memoir or Interlude Man, but it's a very solid scent. We tend to be almost in an embarrassment of riches when kind of talking about Amouage as a fragrance reviewer. You know, I hold the brand at such a high regard that sometimes I need to go, okay, you know, we expect big, bold scents from them coming out of the gate. And personally for me, you know, I've kind of dumbed down my temptation in regards to darker scents and kind of look at the Beach Hut Man and the Sunshine Mans and all that and see the beauty in those. Not that I needed to, but this is one of those that goes into that slot. This is just a well done release, worthy of a buy for me. I will get a bottle of this eventually. I think there's more Amouages that are more important for me, or I feel like more my taste that I want to slot in first, but it is definitely on the buy list, and it's on the, you know, I don't need another sample. It's not on the no-go list. It's worthy of a buy for me. Now, if I had to give it a score currently, as always, Sampling Samples, you got to give it a score out of 10. I'm going to go 9 bottles out of 10, which I feel, you know, when I first started sniffing this thing, especially on the first go, I was like, that might be a little high. Like, I think I was going to be like a solid 8, but the more I wore it, the more, you know, it creeped up 1 score, 1 point, which is a lot. An 8 from a 9 is a lot, but I saw a lot of the things like the florals, the magic with the olibanum, the whole structure of the sandalwood iris carrot seed thing. I felt that on the bigger wearing with this one. The florals are great, the greenery is great in this release too, and the bottle matches kind of that greenery, you know, very light green hue to the release in the start to mid point of this release. So at the end of the day, 9 out of 10. Now that you heard my take, I'd love to see yours in the comments below. Now, of course, this is under the new creative direction, not Mr. Chong. I absolutely love delving into it and just seeing what the new creative director can do with a new nose like this. Very impressive. So for me, it was fairly impressive. I know a lot of people kind of dislike the new direction, so we'll see what you all think in the comments below. But as always, a great port fragrance will make a lasting impression. Choose your scent wisely, especially you need one of these in your collection. I really do. I feel like a calming, and you can go tea-based if you want, but a calming zen-like fragrance like this is just, at some points in your life, you just need one of those that just really grounds you. Love it. Thanks for watching. Have a good one.